been a strange time for everyone, but you know, we were in for testing a couple of days ago, and training kit and whatnot was put in our boot, you know, to use over the course of these few weeks training. As I'm sure people are aware, you know, you take your own kit home, you use your own bottles, all the safety measures are in place. But, you know, even getting the kit ready last night and that, you're excited to come back to work. You know, it's been probably the longest I've ever been away from Finch Farm, so it's been a strange time, but driving through was a great feeling. But it's definitely a little bit different, as you can imagine.
Any nerves at all?
No, just excited to get back in. Listen, the club have done all the precautionary needs that needed to be done, and you know, we're in today in small groups, and you know, felt very safe and training in small groups and staying away from each other, and you can still, you know, get the work in. We still got ball work in and whatnot, so it was good, a very good session put on, and you know, in and out of there as quick as possible, really get the work done and get out. But that was enjoyable, and happy to get a ball at the feet again.
So going through the session you had, did you turn up and have an induction initially, didn't you? Was that to take you through the protocols?
Yeah, we obviously would have got sent that anyway, you know, in the last couple of days. But then, you know, we got it read out to us in person then. And, you know, it's serious. You know, we've got to do things properly. You know, we're all in there together, and it's important that we're living our lives right outside of the place as well, to make sure that you don't endanger anyone. And, you know, the ideal scenario is we get back playing Premier League football, and to do that, you know, as players, we need to make sure we're doing everything right, and the club made sure of that today by telling us the rules and regulations. And as I said, we just couldn't wait then to get on the training pitch. And as I said, it was nice to see some of the lads again and just get out there training.
As captain, you'll have been speaking to the players regularly. So is that been the common feeling? You've all been excited to get back, and you do want to be training and preparing to play football again?
Yeah, very much so. But, like, you know, we're the same as everyone else, and I know everyone's back working, and we all have to go back to work. So we're happy to do that. But I'm sure there's people with nerves as well, you know, because it's such a strange time in the world. I don't think anyone could have predicted something like this happening. So obviously your first concern is your family, and after that, you know, when the club have, you know, made sure everything's done so well and so professionally, and I knew it was a safe place to come back to, so I was more than happy to come back to work and get back training again, and hopefully get back playing again for everyone's sake, really.
So who was in your training group?
So I had Bainsy, Yeri and Michael. So I think that was 4 of the defenders, and then I think there was another 4 defenders together. So I think it might be positional based, and yeah, we can work together and, you know, playing balls across the back line and passing drills. So it was good and it worked well. And as always, it was great to see the lads, and Yeri still had that big smile on his face and whatnot. So it was a great time to see everyone.
So you touched on it, the fact you were able to do some work with the ball, but what did the work generally involve?
Yeah, so we done a bit of a warm up beforehand and stretching to make sure, you know, we don't pull anything in the session. And then it wasn't a very, very hard session, but it was just easing us back into it to make sure there was no injuries or whatever. And some passing drills, some strides, some dribbling circuits, and finished with playing out kind of from the back and using one of the coaches for that. And no, it was good.
How many coaches do you have with each group? Is it 3? Is that right?
Yeah, so we had the manager, Davide and Duncan.
While you've been away, you've been doing some tactical work on video as well, haven't you? So does that make things easier when you come back? You know what's expected of you straight away?
Yeah, it does. You know, they kept on top of us when we were you know, in isolation, and we had a few team video sessions, and just working on things that we mightn't have done so well in previous games, or things that we have done well, and just refreshing the memory really, and making sure that, you know, our brains are switched on for when we do come back and what the manager wants from his team and that. So it was good.
What were you most looking forward to about getting back?
Just getting back, you know, so you feel like there's some kind of normality coming back to the world as well. You know, if you're going back to work, you feel like, you know, things are progressing, and hopefully that is the case. And yeah, just getting back and seeing the boys again and getting the footballs out, and The weather's been great, and I've really enjoyed my time with the family. But at the end of the day, we are footballers, and this is what we want to do.
And physically, how did you feel?
Yeah, I felt all right. I think everyone's been keeping really fit as they possibly can. We've had so much time in our hands during this period, so I think everyone has been keeping really fit. But there's nothing like getting back in with the balls and getting with the coaches again. It's that little bit different again. So I always say you can train as much as you want at home, but when you go back for like your pre-seasons or whatever the case may be, it's always quite difficult.
Have you had any indication of how training will pan out now over the next week or so? Is there kind of a plan for what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, there's a short-term plan, and when I say short-term, I think the first 3 days are quite similar to today. You're in the same groups and at the same time, and then I think after that it'll be they might mix up the times, and then obviously that's all part of this phase 1 stage, and then moving on to phase 2 stage will be contact. So hopefully we can get to that as safely as possible and start having contact training as well, because that's where you get the enjoyment, when you're having little small-sided games and that.
And just in terms of the feedback you get from the staff, do you get that at the training ground, or do you get it with a call later on?
No, to be honest, today we went in, we done our session, and there was words of encouragement throughout the session. But then it's like, that's you lads, and you've got to get off the training ground as swiftly as possible, really, because there's another group coming in behind you, and see it tomorrow. So I think for the first few days it's just about getting some kind of fitness in the legs, and then you do report to David Flower to tell him how hard the session was, or how your body's feeling, and that. So it's been really good.
Just a couple more, just to emphasise, it seems from what you said, you feel like you're in a completely safe environment, or as safe as it could possibly be at Finch Farm.
Yeah, they told us that would be the case anyway. But, when we got there today, you could really see the work that's been put into making sure it's been as safe as possible. And, it's up to us as players now to stick to the rules at the club and do what's asked of us. But yeah, there's no problems. The measurements are all there to tell us how far to stay apart, and it's like a one-way system around the building, so you're not like crossing paths with people, and very, very well put out from the club. And as I said, it feels as safe as it possibly can, and hopefully that can be the case, and we can move on to phase 2 as quickly and safely as possible.
And just a couple of the things you've spoken about, sourcing your kit out the night before, turning up in your kit, going straight home, feels like being a young player again when you're 14, 15, playing on a Saturday or Sunday morning in some ways.
Yeah, I rang my mum on the way home today from training, and I did mention that our own kit's coming home with us. It's been a long time since that's been done, but yeah, we used to do it at Sligo Rovers as well, and when I still lived with my mum and dad, so they remember it well. And we actually did it at Blackpool as well, so it's something that's, it's not that big of a deal. It's something I'm sure all the lads are more than capable of, I would imagine.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.